One of the high points in all of Naruto for me is its rich history. So many long-running shonen that people like to compare to one another have very different qualities of world building that make them great. In One Piece, to quote my friend Tekking, geography is everything! For me, the appeal of My Hero Academia's world is the development of the society they inhabit, but no other series to my recollection truly builds its world through history and historical events like Naruto does. Now don't get me wrong, I ain't no history buff. I hated history in high school. Granted, it was Canadian history, and frankly nothing ever happened in Canada, but Naruto uses its history to build its world in a fascinating way. It makes you feel like part of the world, and even smaller events that take place over the course of the series carry so much more weight because of it. This is a topic I always was excited to cover ever since starting my channel, which is why it will be getting its own video, really delving into what makes the historical events truly great in regard to the world building. So feel free to subscribe until then. Today I'm going to be covering a topic that I find even more fascinating than history. In fact, it builds on the history we know and love, and that is fate in Naruto, and especially how it applies to the Uchiha. Now, because of the focus the Naruto series takes on history altogether, we understand the timeline to an extent, and we can see how in certain curious situations, history does seem to repeat itself. Indra and Ashura, the ancestors of the Senju and Uchiha, were once allies but turned on each other for the sake of power and control. Many generations later, their descendants Hashirama and Madara were initially enemies, became allies, and then ended up enemies again, fighting to the death for the sake of power and control. And now welcome to present-day Naruto, where Naruto and Sasuke, also descendants of Indra and Ashura, were once allies, and despite being rivals, they were best friends. But they fought each other bitterly, the first time for power and the second time for control. The story even goes as far as to say that Naruto and Sasuke aren't only descendants, but freaking reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. So absolutely none of this is random. There's obviously some kind of fate at play. The only difference between the generations are that Hashirama, Madara, Indra, and Ashura never reconciled, while Naruto and Sasuke did, making them the chosen ones, quote unquote, and the main characters in not only our story, but in the history of Naruto, finally bringing peace to the Ninja Nations for the first time ever. And I'll get back to this point. So of course now they're fighting aliens! Yeah, this video will not really be covering Boruto for obvious reasons, but this preordaining of history is crucial to the story at so many points. The reason why Madara was such an effective antagonist was because he was hyped forever before he even showed up on screen. Firstly, we know the history, which is lit, and secondly, because of Sasuke. During the first Naruto vs. Sasuke bout in the Valley of the End, we were made very aware of Madara. Naruto and Sasuke were standing on the statues of the two historical figures their own journeys constantly symbolized. And just like their predecessors, Sasuke went off the correct path to obtain power, and it was up to Naruto to stop him just like Hashirama had to stop Madara. So when Madara returned again, thematically, he could not remain the final antagonist no matter how much we wish he could have been. So while that was great in hyping Madara as an antagonist, it was even better in developing Sasuke, watching him follow the path of his wayward ancestor. There's a creepy theme of destiny lining the events of Naruto's history, especially putting the Ashura side against the Indra side, where the Uchiha seem to always be on the evil side of the spectrum, and that's not by chance at all. The techniques that seem to line the Senju side are generally positive or protective in some shape or form. Naruto can regenerate and heal anyone's wounds, even mortal injuries, and Hashirama's the king in that area. Hashirama Cells cloned the Zetsu army, gave Naruto a new arm, enhanced Madara, saved Obito, allows use of the Kodo Amatsukami daily instead of once in 10 years. Hashirama Cells is literally the trump card of Naruto to save the plot where otherwise it would make no sense. The technique inbred to the Uchiha side is the Sharingan, where each of the vast arsenal of Sharingan jutsu causes destruction in the mental or the physical. A complete opposite, but it gets even worse. Naruto was only able to reach the next levels in his power through Sage Mode, bonding with nature, or Chakra Mode, bonding with and befriending his literal inner demon. The Sharingan only evolves through suffering and betrayal, also a complete opposite to the Senju side of fate. It's an inborn trait to this malicious dojutsu that to unlock its Mangekyo power, one must suffer the loss on the level of killing one's best friend with their own hand. And to perfect it, one must also have a brother that does so, and then must steal his eyes, replacing your own with them. These are the rules to the damn power, fam. It's in the Uchiha's genes that they do not have the ability to live a happy, wholesome life and also reach their potential. What kind of cruel, twisted fate is that? And that's let alone the constant ethical paradox of existence they find themselves in, with a constant nag of betraying and eradicating the lives of their brother and best friends in the back of their minds. That's just not a fair position to be born into. To look at things from the perspective of fate and destiny, both of these things are by definition not fair. But that's the cruel fact of their reality, and I will get back to that topic in a moment. Once I'm in the topic of the Mangekyou Sharingan and how sorrow is infused in its creation, as we know, it's freaking broken. Every single Mangekyou technique is a tip-top tier of jutsus. To quote my boy Swag Kage, who's low-key a freaking genius, an absolute mad lad extraordinaire, borderline honorary OP Isekai Uchiha clan member, who I meme about, but low-key also respect, because he's freaking right about everything. I've come to realize that even when he says something with no proof to what he's saying, in eventuality, he'll end up right. That is the secret power of the swag. Okay, that was enough. But to quote one of the top 5 Kages of all time,
Mangekyou abilities, like all of them, could each be individual entries on this list. Especially Kamui, which makes you completely untouchable, and also lets you teleport things and people into your own little pocket dimension. Tsukuyomi, unstoppable genjutsu. Koromatsukami, unstoppable genjutsu. Amaterasu, it's a flame that you can't extinguish no matter what you do. And then you can summon this.
Link in the description. But basically, the Mangekyou has a ridiculously massive and diverse move pool of wicked broken jutsus. And the Uchiha clan also has Madara, which basically gives them infinite bonus points. Sorry, Swag, I'm still on that Crollo high, but weird as it is, if you make a list of the top 20 jutsus ever, and half of them are different freaking Mangekyou moves, that's nuts. Or so one may think. There's an interesting point in this fated Uchiha tragedy that's often overlooked. Not by everyone, needless to say, some realized it. One guy at Gandalf Monkey on Twitter pointed it out to me as a cool standalone phenomenon, but attached to this greater picture of the fate of every Uchiha clan member, it becomes something a little more foreboding. And I believe all of these variations of Mangekyou only jutsus are different spin-offs of one individual power. So since the Mangekyou altogether can only be born through insane emotional trauma, all the individual jutsu are just different manifestations of the individual event that pushed them forward. Screw fate, man, this is too sad, and screw you, Swag Kage, because now I'm gonna start liking the Uchiha clan more too. Why is it that everything the swaggy bastard likes, I end up agreeing a few months later? First Crollo, and now the Uchihas, and damn it, I still like Pain more than Madara, and hopefully this will not change. Anyway, back on topic, let's take a peek on how the Mangekyou expressed itself in the various tragic characters that were actually able to use it. First, Obito and Kakashi's. Obito's Mangekyou Sharingan was created by losing his love while he was presumed dead. It allowed him to phase between dimensions to the point that despite being able to see him, he's unaffected by the physical world and by physical attacks. Obito lived his life as a ghost, presumed dead by all and manipulating dozens of crucial events without getting his hands dirty. The Blood Mist Village, Obito. The Akatsuki supposedly run by Pain, Obito. Claiming the identity of a deceased Madara to declare war on the world, Obito. He seems to not exist in the story for the longest time, but he's actually everywhere doing everything. Kinda like Lord Twigo once you think about it, just not to that extent, but that is for another video. Kakashi's Mangekyou Sharingan also watching as Rin's life disappeared, where he blamed himself, and the power he obtained was an ability where everything he looks at disappears from reality, just like everyone important to him disappeared before his eyes in his past. His father, Obito, Rin, his sensei, and his disciple Sasuke. Itachi had 2 Mangekyou powers, one per eye. He was able to use Tsukuyomi, an ability that puts his target into a dream state where they experience a secluded infinite hell in their mind. While in actuality, it's a lie and nothing's happening to them. So too, Itachi went through the pain of killing his best friend and his entire clan, and despite doing both for the greater good, he was regarded as a villain for both. He then made that his reality, sneaking into the Akatsuki, suffering through life as a villain living a lie, when in reality he was a hero, suffering alone, without anyone to turn to. And in his other eye, he possessed the ability Amaterasu, an ability so powerful I can never seem to pronounce it right. Now there's some fourth wall-breaking JoJo right there. No, but it's an inextinguishable black flame that consumed anything, even other fire. So while I intend to do a whole Will of Fire video eventually, I will be brief. But this black fire within each of us that consumes everything around us is hatred. And just like Amaterasu is never extinguished until it completely consumes its target, the hatred for Itachi felt by everyone, primarily his brother, is never extinguished until his life burns out. And that's when the hatred ceases as well, because the truth of his life is only then revealed revealed to Sasuke and later Naruto and Kakashi by Tobi after Itachi's death. Similarly, Sasuke possessed the Amaterasu in one eye as well, again representing the burning anger he carried along with him his entire life, until Itachi's death, only to discover that his anger was misplaced all along. So the ability of Sasuke's other Mangekyo was the ability Inferno style, to control and manipulate those monstrous flames at will, twisting his anger then against the village and again against Madara later, controlling the power that was consuming him his whole life. And I will get back to Sasuke in a moment. Shin Uchiha from that Boruto's dad-son spin-off anime that people claim to be canon was experimented on and created to be a weapon. So too his Mangekyo allowed him to telekinetically control weapons. Pretty lame backstory, pretty lame power for a pretty lame sequel, but it follows the theme. Shisui Uchiha is a freaking fascinating character that doesn't get enough credit in my personal opinion. All we know about him is his Koto Amatsukami, and we don't know how he got it. But Koto Amatsukami is one of my favorite genjutsu styles in Naruto because it places an unstoppable genjutsu on anyone from any distance. But what's really cool is it doesn't inflict mental pain like Tsukuyomi or immobilize them like Tayuya of the Sound 4. But the target of the Koto Amatsukami is placed under a subtle genjutsu without realizing anything even took place. It subtly changes their courses of action and intentions, like the 4th Raikage choosing Danzo to be the alliance leader, or Kabuto freeing Itachi from the Edo Tensei mind control. Extremely powerful and essential, despite the caster not being present and despite going unnoticed. So too, Shisui's role in the Naruto story is essential to history, even though he was killed before even the Uchiha massacre. It led to Itachi unlocking the Mangekyo and everything that came from that, Danzo obtaining it and so many other Sharingan, leading to Obito obtaining a second Sharingan, which he needed for Izanagi or he would have been killed by Konan. But most of all, it was his eye that Itachi used in the war against Kabuto, teaming up with Naruto and B against Ito Nagato, where Naruto and B would have both been killed otherwise. He stopped the Edo Tensei altogether, which in turn freed Orochimaru, who knew how to revive the Hokage, and so on. None of these massive advancements are attributed to Shisui, despite him being metaphorically far away, but extremely instrumental in all of them. And Madara, who also had a Mangekyo, but the power was not revealed in the anime, in the video games, he had a time-distorting power, and his legacy and planning did live on past the boundary of time until his return. Every Uchiha I've mentioned had a terrible life mirroring their birthright jutsu, as if it's fated as such. The only one who had a semblance of a normal life was post-Shippuden Sasuke. He had a kid, Sakura at home, his pal Naruto having secret meetings with him in the woods to, talk about things. He's not suffering really, but the big difference is he's an ally of Naruto's. He finally teamed up with his fated rival and managed to beat his destiny of suffering. This fate that afflicted the Uchiha clan since the squabble of Indra and Ashura finally broke with Sasuke. Thematically at this point in time, I kinda really love the role the Uchiha clan took in Naruto, and I feel bad for them because just being an Uchiha destines them to an eventual life of anguish. Whereas being on the Senju spectrum seems to be just the opposite, and this is evident down to the core of their individual unique jutsu. The fact that Naruto and Sasuke are reincarnations of Indra and Ashura alone brings fate into play, and I found it to be a fascinating theme in the entire series, especially regarding the Uchiha and the darkness of the Sharingan, as well as the opposite scene in Naruto and what happens when they finally, after so many generations, actually work together and finally defeat fate. I'm happy to make this video because I feel like this was an underlying theme to the entire Naruto narrative that I have not seen touched, so hey, I figured why not touch upon it, not in the weird way of course. Feel free to like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want more. Also let me know in the comments your thoughts on this, as well as future Naruto or any anime content you would like me to make. Link in the description to my Twitter, to my merch, including my Cuz Hashirama Cells merch, because as we know, Hashirama Cells are the most powerful being in the Naruto universe, to the point that they'd even go so far to infect others. And also link in the description to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server, and the help to the channel is really appreciated. I wanted to especially thank King Beat My Meat, Sage of Snake, Pop-Up, Grumpy Welshman, Lazy Ronin, Girthy Worm Jin, Allison Stricker, JD Finchery, Laser, Sash, Frisky Dingo, Rari, MD, Praise Lord Girugameshu, Q, Billy Thompson, Salve Says, Zindergarten, Sergeant Malarkey, Divine Reigns, Miku, and TM Philly. But I also wanted to thank the Lord Tweeger Rank, Anthony Booth, Large Blab, Cream My Pancake, Portland Doing, Zombie Misha, Tea Kui, and the God Usopp Rank, Tyler Schumacher, Dark Element, Sunny Parks, and Maurice Luis Dreyfus, whose name I pronounced wrong in every single video, just like a Matsudasu. So remember fam, change your fate, it's doable, assuming it exists of course, and remember to stay weird fam.